bad likeness. Not a bad likeness at all. Definitely a man with a future. That's better. I feel love. You and me both, babe. Your talent and my know-how, we could have gone places together. Still can. Hello.
Hi, Russ. It's me.
Marianne. Hey, funny thing you should call. Just sitting here thinking about you.
You were thinking about me.
Yeah.
Really?
I've had you on my mind a lot these days lately.
Well, I think a lot about you, too. Russ, I wanted to know if you really like that portrait. I mean, now that it's all finished and everything.
Like it? I love it.
Do you?
Yeah, almost as much as I love the artist.
Russ.
It's wonderful, Marianne. It really is. Of course, you had some great material to work with. I mean, how can you go wrong with a face like this?
Oh. Well, I don't suppose you could tear yourself away from the mirror long enough to have lunch with me today.
Gosh, I don't know.
Well, don't go to any trouble on my account.
No, I'd love to, and you know it.
Well, how does 12:30 sound?
Let me check with the hospital and see what's going on first. Tell you what, I'll give you a call later on this morning from the office.
Okay. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Now, I'm warning you, little sister. You're heading for a lot of trouble with that guy.
Look, Gil, you take care of the business. I'll take care of my own personal life.
Mary Ann, I'm not just saying this to make you angry.
Oh, really? Good. Well, then don't get yourself all upset about it anymore either, all right?
You know, Mary Ann, it's obvious that you two are getting more and more involved with each other. I see you falling for him. You know, I just don't want to see where you're going to land.
Why are you so against him?
I know what he's like, okay? I know what he's capable of doing.
No, you don't know what he's like. No one does.
Mary Ann, I don't want to see you get hurt.
Vince.
Oh, Russ.
This is really a surprise.
May I come in?
Yeah, sure. Come on in. I tell you, after our last little confrontation, I sure didn't expect to see you again.
I'll level with you, kid. Neither did I.
So, what made you change your mind?
Well, I have to come back to Kingsley for the grand opening of Hollister Mall next week.
That's not what I asked.
I've given it a lot of thought, Russ. You, Becky, your marriage, I just couldn't believe you'd let it all slip through your fingers like that.
Please, I remember your words all too well.
Well, I was angry. Maybe I said a lot of things I didn't mean, but I've had time to give it a lot of reflection. Maybe I was wrong.
Are you kidding?
Hey, I said I was wrong. What do you want?
From you? Nothing.
Hear me out, Russ.
Why? I know what you're already gonna say. You wanna be my father again, right? All right.
I am your father. Accept that. Give me a chance.
Why?
It's in the blood, kid. We're both headstrong, all right? Well, we're both alike in many ways. Headstrong, ambitious, But we're able to forgive and forget, right?
I don't know.
I don't blame you for feeling the way you do. But come on, give the old man a benefit of the doubt, anyway. It's not a bad likeness.
It's all right.
Well, it's a little flattering. Looks a little bit more like me, maybe.
Ha ha.
So, tell me, what are you up to now that you've left school?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah?
Got a job at Kingsley Hospital, assistant to the administrator.
Assistant to the administrator? Well, well, well.
Yeah. It's the kind of job that you can sort of make out of it whatever you want to. I'm working my way up, fast.
See, that's what I mean. Ambitious. You are my son after all. I'm impressed.
Yes, you should be. I'm pretty good at it, too. By the time I finish with Kingsley, it'll be a money-making hospital. And I'll be running the place.
I don't doubt it for a minute. Like I always say, there's no place like the top.
Mm-hmm.
You heard anything from Carrie?
No, not a word.
Neither have I. Well, hey, listen, why don't you have lunch with me today, huh?
No, can't. Got other plans.
Bring her along, huh?
No. I'm just not ready for that yet, okay?
Okay.
All right, yeah. I'll give her a call, I'll see maybe she can whip up dinner or something instead. I mean, hey, how often I get a chance to have lunch with my father?
Wonderful. Hey. Feels good to be back, Russ.
Yeah.
Mrs. Davidson?
Yes?
I'm Lila Murray. Your daughter taught me at Monroe.
Lila, of course. Yeah, Laurie's mentioned you so often. Come in.
Well, I've been thinking about her, real worried about her.
Well, physically she's recovering okay. We have the good Lord to thank for that. But emotionally, the experience was so terrifying that I'm afraid she's blocked it out of her mind.
You don't mean she don't remember nothing?
Worse than that, she's not responding to anyone or anything.
Oh, no. Well, do you think she's going to be okay?
I hope so. In time.
I hope so, too. She was so good to me, Mrs. Davidson. I can't believe something this awful would happen to her.
None of us can.
I always hated school before. But Mrs. Martin, she kind of helped me along. Encouraged me, I'm going back to Kingsley High this year, thanks to her.
Well, Lila, that's wonderful.
Mrs. Martin told me you were a nurse. That's what I want to be, too.
I know. Laurie told me before.
I want to help people, Take care of them, whatever way I can.
Did you know that we are building a new nurses' wing here at the hospital?
Mrs. Martin mentioned something about that to me.
It's going to be one of the finest teaching facilities in the state, and I think it will be ready just about when you're ready for nursing school.
If I make it.
Oh, I know you will.
That's what Mrs. Martin said. She was going to help me along with my school every once in a while.
Oh, I'm sure she will when she gets better.
When she gets better. The cops still haven't got the guy who did it?
No.
They got Monk and Hernandez in jail, I know that.
The police think they might be involved.
No way.
Why? What makes you so sure?
Well, they were in school that night to try and rip off some TV equipment and stuff. I overheard them talking about it in class that night. But Mrs. Davidson, you've got to believe me. Monk wouldn't attack your daughter. Hernandez wouldn't either. But I sure hope they catch a guy who did.
Oh, hiya, Sugar. Did you miss me?
Yeah, ma'am, sure.
Boy, this place was a real mess. I mean, I don't know how you got along without me.
And it's the same way you left it the other day. I was out of the office yesterday.
Oh, out of the office, huh?
Yeah, out of the country, in fact.
Well, aren't we getting to be a regular member of the jet set?
I had to meet somebody in Canada on behalf of a client.
Is that good or bad?
Good, I hope. I hope I don't have to wait too long to find out, either.
Well, I can't tell you how good it is to get back. I mean, I thought I was going to go stir-crazy there at Ione's house. Gee whiz. By the way, Harold, you didn't get any, strange phone calls or anything like that, did you, while I was gone?
No, nothing. Hey, I still want you to lay low for a while. Now, from here, you go straight home to Ms. Redlands, you understand? Now, if you leave her place for any reason at all, you be sure you tell her or Miriam exactly where you're going. You understand me?
Sure, sure.
All right, better yet, if you can, take one of them with you.
You know what, Harold?
What?
You're really concerned for my safety. You know, that's sweet.
Harold.
Charles!
If you don't mind, I'd like to talk to Mr. Webster alone.
Whatever you say, baby cakes.
Really, Harold, you must do something about that woman.
There's something you wanted to discuss with me, Charles?
Of course there's something I want to discuss. Didn't you get my message?
Oh, Harold, I forgot to tell you, Mr. Carpenter called and said he wanted to discuss something with you about a Ted Barton or something like that.
Tab Barron.
Thank you, Babs.
Well, what have you found out? I asked you to investigate him weeks ago.
Charles, I've got a private investigator on it. You know that.
Well, what has he come up with?
Well, Charles, you'll be the very first person to know, I can assure you of that.
Oh, you mean you don't know yet? Harold, that report should have been on my desk weeks ago. You know, really, your ineptness is a disgrace.
Charles, just calm down. Now, there's no sense getting all bent out of shape over nothing.
Nothing? What do you mean, nothing?
Look, Charles, just calm down. Just remember what the doctor said.
Is it any wonder I have heart trouble? Harold, do you ever do anything right?
Look, Charles, let's have an understanding about something. Now, you and I have been together for a long time. We're partners in a lot of deals. Now, believe it or not, I have your best interests at heart. Now, if I didn't, and you sink, I sink with you.
You know, sometimes I'm convinced that you're trying to ruin me through your incompetence.
Well, I'm not. I'm trying to save your skin. But most of the time, you don't care, you don't appreciate it, because for the most part, you never listen to what I have to say until it's too late anyway. But look, let's just forget all about that. Let's look at the brighter side. Hollister Mall's opening next week, way early.
Yes.
Now, there's something I had something to do with, isn't it?
You know, if you were to put it poetically, I think our hour is about to happen, and not a moment too soon. And nothing is going to spoil it for me either. Least of all, Nancy. I want her out. Do you understand?
What, you want Nancy out? You really mean that, Charles?
Harold, can you prove that Nancy is faking?
Are you sure she is?
Well, I believe that Miriam was right when she claims that she saw Nancy out of the wheelchair.
Well, I don't think Miriam's hallucinating, not for 1 minute.
Well, Miriam may not have fully recovered yet, but no, I don't think she was hallucinating either. And I've had this feeling that Tab and Nancy are in this together.
It's what?
Extortion.
Does that mean that you think that Terry Davidson never asked for or received $5,000?
That is exactly what I believe.
Well, what do you want to do about the house, then?
Nothing for the moment now. Nancy told me that she cashed the check. Now, is there any way at all we can trace that money?
Well, the only thing we know is that there's no evidence that she gave the money to Terry Davidson or anybody else, for that matter.
Now, that's the reason why we have to find out all this past information about Tab Barron. Terry Davidson herself told me weeks ago that he was involved with blackmailing some of his patients.
Seems like you should have listened to her, then.
Well, never mind that. If we can prove what Terry Davidson said about that, we may be able to tie him into this scheme with Nancy.
I'll get on that right away.
Now, I've got to know what's going on so that I can deal with this situation appropriately.
Does this mean that your impending marriage is off?
Harold, you just find out all the information you can about Mr. Tab Barron. I'll take care of the rest.
Terry, I want to talk to you.
Yes, would you please make an appointment with my secretary? I am in no mood to talk to anybody today. I just got back from seeing Lori, and there's still no change.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, but I'm not here to talk about Lori. I just heard that you filed a complaint against me. Is that true?
Yes.
What are you trying to prove?
Quite honestly, I find your arrogance intolerable. Your overblown ego is destroying the quality of services at this hospital. Now, I won't stand by and let this happen.
My record speaks for itself. Ever since I've been here, I've done nothing but improve this hospital's operation.
I'm not talking about dollars and cents, Russ. I'm talking about feelings. This is a hospital, not an assembly line. We're people, not automatons. We're people trying to care about other people, but you always seem to forget about them.
Yeah, and you are just a little bit too emotional and not professional enough.
Your attitude is tearing apart the morale of this hospital, and that is our real strength. Without it, without that feeling of goodwill and cooperation, we cannot begin to give our patients what they deserve and what they need. Now, I refuse to let you do that.
You know, this is exactly a perfect example of what I was talking to Mr. Lewis about the other day, Terry.
What's that?
Like I said, you are just too emotional to handle a position of responsibility, and Lester's beginning to realize that.
If you keep this up, Russ, I'm going to be forced to write another complaint on you.
Go ahead. It's only going to prove my point.
What point?
That you're not qualified to be director of nursing at this hospital. I'm warning you, Terry. If you keep bucking my orders, I'll see to it that you're discharged.
Prescott around? Well, which one?
Oh, Jason.
Oh, no, I'm afraid he's not here right now. I'm Gil Prescott, his son. Mary Ann, my sister.
Oh, Vince Cardello.
Oh, nice to meet you. Dad is in North Carolina. Could we help you with anything?
North Carolina?
Yeah, he's supervising the construction on a new mall out there. It's going to be bigger than Hollister Mall.
Well, I knew that Prescott Development was a top company. I could see the way Hollister Mall was shaping up.
Oh, so you've been there?
Many times.
Oh, I see.
I've had the pleasure of meeting your father. Hey, he'll be here for that opening next week, won't he?
Well,
I don't think so.
Oh, that's a shame. I was hoping he'd be here.
no, I'm afraid not. He won't be able to get away. But we'll be there.
Yeah, we wouldn't miss it for anything.
Well, I'm sorry I missed Jason, but I am delighted to have met you two. You know, I have a son in Kingsley, too.
Do you?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd always hoped he'd follow in my footsteps. Going to business with me, but he's the independent type, you know. He wants to strike out on his own.
Yeah, well, working for your father can have its advantages or disadvantages. Like when your father, who's your boss, starts lecturing you on how late you stayed out the night before.
Yeah, Dad's got a bad habit of mixing up his roles, you know.
Has the father on one hand and the boss on the other.
Yeah, there you go.
I can see how that might be something of a problem. Listen, I'm going to be having lunch with my son this afternoon. I'd be honored if you two would join me.
Well, thanks, but we don't want to intrude.
Hey, nonsense. It's good for business, young man. You never know who your next customer might be. Besides, I'd like my son to meet some nice young people like you.
Okay.
Well, I thought you had something to do.
Well, I did. The plan's been changed. I would be delighted to have lunch with you. Sounds like fun.
Wonderful. Well, look, I'll make reservations at the Greenbrier for 4. And I'll see you there. That's at 12:30, okay?
That's fine.
Fine.
See you there.
Right.
Bye.
Bye.
This is nice.
How dare you tell me my job is on the line? You wouldn't even be working here if it weren't for me.
Well, I certainly can't let that affect my professional judgment, now can I?
I can assure you Mr. Lewis is going to hear about this.
The more you complain, the worse you're going to look. And we both know that Lester values my opinion much more than he does yours.
Russ, I want you to leave right now. Get out of my office.
All right. But I'll tell you something, Terry. You haven't heard the last of this.
Neither have you.
Heard the last of what?
Oh, Alex, that boy is impossible.
Yeah, I know. You know, he's worse than Lester, if such a thing is possible.
And to think he wouldn't have this job if I hadn't recommended him. Do you know what he did?
No, what?
This morning I went to see Lori, and there still is no change.
I know, Terry. I know.
When I got back to the office, I just wasn't in the mood to see anybody.
And that's when Russ came barging in.
I filed a complaint about him, and naturally he was upset about it. Do you know what he had the nerve to suggest to me?
Tell me.
He said if I wrote any more complaints against him, he'd put my job on the line.
You better watch your step. You know, one of these days he just might find himself pounding the pavements again.
Alex, he's acting like he's running this place.
This has got to stop. I'm thinking about filing a grievance against him myself.
Please do. He's ruining this hospital. Already people are talking about quitting right and left. We're going to lose some of our best nurses.
And some of our best doctors, too.
Has he been stepping on the doctor's toes, too?
Yeah, his latest scheme, well, it's to eliminate half of the doctor's parking spaces so he can enlarge the visitors' lot.
Alex, all he thinks about is making money or saving money.
Lester just better pull in the reins on that assistant of his, or he's going to find himself with a full-scale revolt on his hands. Nurses and doctors.
I want action on this now, Webster.
You'll get action, Charles. Don't you worry about that.
Oh, it's over and off, sweetie. You got company.
Me?
Well, both of you, really.
Well, who is it?
Smooth talker. Smokes a big cigar. The face is familiar, but I can't quite place
Babs,
it.
didn't you get a name?
Well,
Vince.
Vince. Yeah, that's it. Vince Cardello.
Thanks for the intro, sweetheart.
Well, Vince, this is quite a surprise.
Well, I've been on vacation in the Mediterranean, but I came back for the grand opening of Hollister Mall next week.
Ah, you heard. Vince, we pulled it off way ahead of schedule.
I hope you don't think you can take credit for any of that.
Now, wait just a
Look,
minute.
I might have been out of town, but I'm not out of my mind. I know how to keep tabs on you two clowns. You know, I still own 51% of the stock. I got my own interest to protect you.